5K, 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 5K. That was all of the energy that I have for the rest of the month. I'm sorry, I don't have a speech prepared for this momentous occasion. I just wanted to make a fun video and hang out with my cats. To celebrate this little community hitting 5,000 members, we're gonna do a Q&A where you can ask me anything you want about myself, about the industry, literally anything. You guys submitted your questions over on YouTube and over on Discord, and I'm blown away by how many questions you guys actually asked. So I'm probably going to have to skip over a couple, but I'm gonna try to at least answer a few questions from each of you. And to make things more interesting, the amount of time that I spent answering questions is the amount of time that I'm going to give myself to animate one of my shots from college. I may have mentioned it here before, but I barely learned anything in college at all, so my animation from back then is absolutely horrendous. So let's take a look at that old clip so that we can reanimate it. Now that you're all aware of my shame, let's get started with the questions that you asked over on YouTube, and then we'll jump over to Discord. Hopefully this is enough coffee to get through it. First question, tell us about your animator journey. Well, mine's a bit of a roller coaster. I didn't always know that I wanted to be an animator. Back when I was in high school, it was expected of me to go to college or university, but I didn't actually know what I wanted to do. I was hoping that I could take a year off before going to college because I really hadn't explored this question at all. But my parents were adamant that I couldn't take a year off before going to college because in their mind, I wouldn't go to college if I took that break. One day during high school, I was about to go to math, which I absolutely hated, and the career fair was later that day, and one of the people from the local colleges had come to our class asking for some volunteers to help them for the afternoon to set up and take down their booth. I jumped on this opportunity because I would do anything to get out of math class at that point. So I went to the gym and I helped this person set up their booth, and it turned out that they were a technology college. I started asking the lady some questions about it because it sounded intriguing, and she talked more about their game animation course. With the end of high school approaching and the pressure of needing to find where to go afterwards, I decided to fill out the application right then and there. I didn't know anything about 3D, I still didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew that this course was interesting enough and it was generalist enough to try to give me an idea of what I might want to do. So I took the course, which as I mentioned before was pretty bad. It cost a lot of money that I'm still paying for and probably will be for a while. We learned Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere, Maya. We touched Unreal Engine for about an hour, so that's where the game animation part of the course came from. Didn't learn a thing about Unreal. So when I graduated in 2012, I was terrible at everything and I still didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew is that I couldn't give up. I knew that the industry was fun, I'd always had an interest in video games, and I wanted to get into the industry doing something, but I didn't know what. And it didn't help that I learned so little about each of these areas, because how can you know if you enjoy something if you don't know how to do it? Animation was probably my second worst skill, just above rigging. At that point, my strongest skill was modeling, but it still wasn't anywhere near good. But I thought that I was going to be a 3D modeler at some point because that's what I enjoyed doing. Well, I live on Canada's East Coast, which basically has no jobs, and I'm not willing to move away and leave my family. So I was stuck trying to apply to the few studios that exist here. So I got a job at a cleaning company, and for 3 years I worked full-time, going home at the end of the day to practice my skills. So I just kept applying to these studios for every opportunity that opened, no matter what the position was, in hopes that eventually somebody would take me. And it took 3 years, but the person that did take me on was for a 3D animation role. This was the best opportunity I could have ever come across. They took a chance on me when my animation was horrible. I'm telling you, it was bad. But they took a chance on me because they thought that they could teach me the skills to become the type of animator that they were specifically looking for. So I went through boot camps through the studio and had supervisors helping me along the way to shape my animation the way that they needed it to be. I was at that studio for 5.5 years, but the part that you guys don't know is that just a couple weeks ago I did leave that studio to take a job in game animation. So now with absolutely no knowledge and skill in game animation, I'm now working there doing the exact same thing, but this time without the training wheels that I was given from my previous studio. But I never would have got this opportunity if it wasn't for the amazing mentors that I had at my previous job. So if any of you, and you know who you are, happen to be watching this video, thank you. and that was way too long to spend on one question, so let's try to rapid fire through some more. Make a video on body mechanics, acting, and lip syncing. I have made a video on lip syncing, but I will get to body mechanics and acting eventually. Please make one lip sync tutorial. You're in luck, I already have one lip sync tutorial. I'll go more in depth later on, but that one should do you for now. Who is the most handsome animated character, and why is it Chucky's dad from the Rugrats? What is the most awkward moment you've ever had? Probably when I was in like the 1st grade and I accidentally called to my teacher and said mom, but nobody heard me, so it was just me being really awkward to myself. 5 animated movies for aspiring 3D animators. Look at really old Disney, like the Mickey Mouse cartoons, or Snow White. Watch new Disney movies like Raya and the Last Dragon. Watch more stylized movies like Kubo. Not a movie, but definitely watch the Looney Tunes. I haven't watched this one yet, but judging by the clips that I've seen over on Twitter, The Mitchells vs. the Machines. That one's very stylized. Congratulations, thank you. Tell us about to make professional reel. I do have a video on demo reels, but keep it brief, keep it short, and a little bit of everything.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Is there any free cloud rendering software tool that can render Maya files? I'm not sure because I'm only an animator, I don't actually render anything. Congrats! Thank you! What made you want to become an animator professionally, and what's your ultimate favorite animated movie series? Kind of building on what I said earlier, nothing really made me want to become an animator professionally until I was actually doing it. Once I actually became an animator and understood the job a little bit better, I started liking it more than every other area. And what's your ultimate favorite animated movie series? My favorite movie of all time is The Lion King.
Simba, it's to die for.
Have you ever had a dream?
Dreams that you
Why are you so awesome? That's debatable. How to fix arcs and spacing in animation. Motion trails, they are going to be your best friend. Not paths, trails. Animation workflow, Windows configuration, workspaces in Maya, view curve editor when after blocking in polish phase, dope sheet, etc. Animation workflow is something that I made a video on previously. I will update that at some point because it has changed a little bit. Workspaces in Maya. My workspace usually consists of the render cam on the left, my perspective view on the right, and then a graph editor detached on a second monitor. Do you use curve editor when after blocking in polish phase, etc.? I use the graph editor through the entire process. I don't work in stepped, I only work in spline. I don't use the dope sheet very often because I can do all of that stuff in the graph editor. If I'm doing it in the dope sheet, it's because I don't want to accidentally bump my curves. What are your future plans for the channel? My plan is to just keep teaching as much as I can possibly teach. Eventually, I would like to have a custom rig that I can use in the videos and also share with you guys. I'd like to branch out and use more programs rather than just Maya, because at some point, I'm personally going to get bored with it, where that's what I do on a daily basis, which is why I'm learning other things like Sprite, ZBrush, game dev, stuff like that, so that I can integrate it into the channel to have a bigger community. Can anyone learning animation without online or offline schools? Absolutely. Having that piece of paper can help you get a job, but if your demo reel is good enough, they don't care. Best references, curses for those starting with animation. Yes, and shooting your own reference in the beginning can be very difficult. What I do suggest, if you're looking up reference for poses like the basic 7 expressions, don't just type into Google Images happy, sad, angry, contempt. Don't do that. You're gonna get really ugly, very fake stock images. What you want to do is look up things that evoke that emotional response. So instead of happy or excited, look up opening a birthday present. And when it comes to emotions, you're gonna find your best results in children. I'm trying to not sound creepy here, but children can't hide their emotions as well as adults are taught to. So if you're looking up opening up a birthday present and you look at a 30-year-old versus a 3-year-old, the one that's going to have the bigger reaction is the 3-year-old. Hope that answers your question. How to create progressive walk cycle of character from cycle animation. What I do is set 2 keys on the body control that you plan to translate, set those keys to linear, then just pick 2 frames and line the toe up perfectly from one frame to the next. Then you can just hit pre-infinity cycle and post-infinity cycle and it'll work for the entire translation. Ask me anything seems dangerous, doesn't it? Well, you asked for it. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair, Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't fuzzy, was he? Fuzzy Wuzzy is a liar and a cheater, and he stole my lunch money. Any studio nightmare stories? Someone deleted the files server once. Thankfully, we had a backup from 6 p.m. the day before, so we only lost about 2/3 of a day of work, but still terrifying. Do you ever plan on revealing your studio? No, I unfortunately don't ever plan on revealing my studio. My husband and I are both YouTubers in completely different circles, so we'd like to keep at least a little bit of privacy with our location and our real names off the internet. Unfortunately, if I reveal where I work, that's gonna open the door to find out more information. When did you decide to become an animator? When I became one. How did you get your first job in the industry without having previous experience? I knew people working there. Best diet for animators? Caffeine and no sleep. How do you manage time while working at home? I have a dedicated workspace. I do not game on my work computer. This is a space where if I'm there, I'm working, and I'm constantly making daily goals in a notebook. What's a scene you've worked on that you really liked the results of? What's your favorite piece in your portfolio? That would be a Rev and Roll episode called The Cowboy Kids. I did the intro scene to that, and it was a ton of fun.
Sheriff Rev knew right away who the carrot culprits were.
The Hopper Gang. Oh no!
How to come up with great animation ideas. Go for a walk or go to a park and non-creepily watch people. Can you show us your island on Animal Crossing? Main room, kitchen, animation studio, bathroom, game room, bedroom, outside the house, pathway to the house, unfinished hotel, wedding area, all of my villagers and all of their artwork that I designed myself because I love them very much. Relaxing beach spot, another random relaxing beach spot, a bridge, my throne, the bar, the crafting beach, entrance, which I've since demolished, library above the Able Sisters, land bridge, the piano forest, pathway to the museum, the boardwalk, tea area, bridge to the Spirited Away bathhouse, pink arcade. Gotta get that caffeine. Weird floating island thing, hot springs, plant shop, three-way intersection, very long pathway to Red, who is never here, unfinished mermaid area, and all of the DIYs that for some reason are very difficult to get rid of. Seriously, why does nobody want these? They are overtaking my island, please get them out of here. Generally, how much time should a demo reel take to animate? You don't want to think of it like animating a demo reel, you want to think about it as animating a new shot. So just work on a shot until it's done and then work on the next. Don't overwhelm yourself. If your demo reel only ends up being 30 seconds long, that's not a bad thing. How do I know how many frames the action needs? You don't know until you have the key poses in there. You can always adjust the timing later. Why Skitty? Because I dressed up as Skitty for Halloween in 2010 when college had just started and nobody knew each other's names yet, so people just started referring to me as Skitty and it never went away. Which starter Pokemon did you pick? Always Charmander. Favorite animation you've seen in movies, games, TV recently? When your villagers in Animal Crossing sit down. What's a project or company you would love to work on in the future? Nintendo, hire me please. Did you hear about the myth called sleep? No? How often do you animate in your free time outside of animating for a job/YouTube? I don't really have free time outside of that, and when I do, I'm playing video games, so pretty much never. Do you know/use some exercises to prevent wrist injuries? Yes, I do have wrist injuries, and the only thing that helps is this one. How do you see the future of animation? I see the future as computers trying to take over our jobs, and it doesn't work. How do you properly resolve, Also, medium or dark roast? Medium, there's more caffeine. What is your fave animation movie? Lion King is the best. When is the Q&A video release? Right now. Do you have any tattoos? No, I'm a wuss. Can you teach us how to say Euler filter? It's Euler filter. Can you animate a scene using only your left hand? As a lefty, that is not a challenge at all. Can you give us a gaming room tour? That is a very big ask, and my husband Tark Scotland is going to be making one at some point in the future because people have been asking him about it. So whenever he makes that, I will link that in the Discord. What plugins do you have enabled on Maya that are not bundled with it? I have Animbot and I have Studio Library. Do you watch the episodes you have worked on after they are released? It kind of depends on the show. Rev and Roll, I watched all of them. The one that I just animated, probably not gonna watch that one. Preschool's pretty hit and miss. What's the heaviest music you listen to? Epica gets pretty heavy sometimes, but it's probably Unlucky Morpheus. In your career, what has been your favorite character to animate? That would be Lori from Rev and Roll. Did you have any special practice routines that helped you improve your body mechanics animation skills when you were first learning? Not specifically, I just animated very short clips constantly. Best vacation you've ever taken? My husband and I have only taken one trip together, and it was to Montreal to see Camelot live, and it was amazing. Biggest dream or aspiration? To be able to work from home on a more permanent basis with a decent paycheck so that I can build a house further outside the city. Favorite animal? Cows. What's your favorite meme?
Thanks, Obama.
Your husband or Keanu Reeves? Would anyone really pick Keanu Reeves over Tark's Gauntlet? I didn't think so. Are you ready to rock and roll? Always. Do you feed your cats with real natural food? No, I tried, but Ray has such a sensitive little stomach that anytime she eats something that isn't kibble, she throws up. Can you do a husband and waifu video? If there's ever an idea or a reason to do one? Sure. Where is the worst hiding place of your cats? Ray has poked holes in our box spring so that she can go under the bed and hide inside the mattress. What are your animation pet peeves? I want some controversy. People who animate the master control of a rig. Don't. What path of learning do you recommend for an aspiring animator in 2021? Well, I did mention before that my college was trash, so I can't recommend college. Online courses, I don't have any experience with, but they seem like a good alternative. YouTube tutorials? Sure, I don't see why not. As long as you're the one putting the effort in, learn however way works. What art pieces have kickstarted your fire for animation and continue to influence you today? The Lion King. I'm relatively new to your channel, so I don't know of your experience with this, but if you have done freelancing, I have not done freelancing, so I called in the expert.
Hey everybody, it's me, Robyn, from over at my YouTube channel, which is not called anything cool or interesting like Skitty Animates. It's just my name, Robyn with an O. My channel is also focused on animation as well as motion graphics, and I do videos like how to get into the animation industry, what the best exercises are for beginner animators, and the most common mistakes that animators make. My last couple of videos were about freelancing, and I do have experience both as a freelancer and as a full-time animator. So Skitty asked if she could pass the proverbial baton on to me to answer your questions about freelancing for her AMA. But most importantly, congratulations on hitting 5K subscribers! Your channel is super dope and you totally deserve it because your tips are so great and you just deliver them in such a relaxing way. I totally dig it. So let's get to the questions now. I'm just going to read them off my screen, which is in front of me. How do you measure the value of your work when you're starting out freelancing? So I do go a little more in depth into this topic in my video on how to set rates, contracts, and payment terms as a freelancer. But the first thing you need to do is look at your experience level and be honest with yourself. Once you know where you are, in terms of experience, if you're just a junior, if you're fresh out of college, then you need to go and look at the sort of standard salaries that a junior animator would be earning in your country or your sphere of industry. There are sites like Glassdoor.com that can help you with that sort of research. Once you see what a person of your experience level is earning per month as a salary, as a full-time worker at a studio or a company, then you know what to base your own rates around. Obviously, usually a person working full full-time for a company is going to be getting other perks. They're going to be getting things like medical, and they're not going to have as harsh taxes usually as freelancers, although it is different in every country. You know, in my country, taxes are super, super rough on freelancers. So that also depends. You need to do your research on your taxes in your country, but people working full-time, getting full-time salaries, it's a little different for them. So you're just looking for a ballpark figure to base your rates around, but you are going to try and aim to earn slightly more than that so you can cover your taxes, you can cover your medical, and all the sort of perks that you won't be getting as a freelancer. So once you've got an idea of the sort of salary you could be earning full-time at your experience level, then you also need to go and look at your budget and what you need to be able to survive as a freelancer, what you need to be earning per month. Again, be very honest with yourself. I'm not talking about if you want to live a baller lifestyle. It's just so that you can survive and get by. What is the amount you need to earn per month to be able to survive? There are budget sites that will help you do this, so it'll give you all the costs that you should be looking at and putting in there, and you can work out exactly how much money you need to be earning per month. So once you've got an idea of the sort of salary you should be earning at your experience level, and you've got an idea of the sort of budget you need to be able to survive, you can marry the two and come to a sort of happy medium between the two of them. Obviously, you don't want to be just scraping by, don't be too strict with yourself, but you also need to be realistic. Once you've done that, you can take this and divide it down so that you can work out your daily rate as an animator, and it also helps to go into groups like, you can find Reddit groups for animators or groups on Facebook, other social media groups where you can ask other people at a similar sort of experience level working in the same industry as you what they're earning. But this is how you would sort of work out the basis of what you need to be earning per month as a freelancer and how you would work out the daily rate that you would need to be earning. The main thing to remember is that if this is going to be your career, if this is going to be your sole source of income and it needs to be sustainable, you need to be able to earn as much as what you need to survive every month. So the second question about freelancing is, what are the most common things you do as a freelancer versus a production artist? In terms of just daily common tasks that you would be doing as a freelancer versus as a production artist, as a freelancer, you'll find yourself doing a lot more admin. As a production artist in a company, you've got other people, other departments to deal with things like the finance side and finding more work to come in. But as a freelancer, that is all on you. You're the one doing the budgeting, you're the one doing the project management, you're the one doing the creative work, you're the one chasing up payments, you're the one doing the marketing of your services. All of that is on you. So as a freelancer, your common tasks include a lot more admin than what they would as a production artist. As a production artist, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You can mainly just focus on the creative. But apart from that, on the creative side of things, it's pretty much probably the same. As a freelancer, as an animator, you may find that you are expected to do more tasks. So, in a production pipeline at a company, you might just be an animator and that's cool. But if you're a freelancer, some people might expect you to do more than just animating. They might expect you to do the storyboarding, concept art, and everything basically. So that is where things might differ in terms of freelance versus production artist and in terms of most common things that they'd be doing. And I hope that answers your question. Thanks for having me on, Skitty. Again, congratulations on hitting 5,000 subscribers. You totally deserve it. You're awesome.
Now back to the show.
Do you personally straight away anything nowadays? No, I am strictly opposed to pose animator. There's very few instances when I would do straight ahead. Do you have any tips for stop motion style 3D animations? I haven't done it, but it sounds like you want to animate in stepped tangents and just add a ton of poses. How can I analyze animation on my own? In the program, you can use motion trails, you can set it to half speed to try to see any pops or janks in it, or you can play blast and open in VLC and view it mirrored. Just like with an art program, mirroring your footage can help you see mistakes better. Mouse versus tablet. Tablet all the way. When I'm using a mouse, I feel like I'm using a computer, whereas if I'm using a tablet, I feel like I'm being artistic. I find it a lot easier to get the small fine-tuned details with a tablet rather than using a clunky mouse. Top 3 plugins besides Animbot. Well, I only use Animbot and Studio Library, so let's just put Studio Library in all of those spots. How much do you bench? About 8 pounds. What was the biggest struggle back when you were first learning animation? What realization or thing you learned / advice helped you the most at improving? I had never been told to key off my poses, so I didn't technically do the pose-to-pose method until I got a job at my studio. I also didn't know what a moving hold was or how easy it was to make them. Graph editor management for complex animation. Break it down into small chunks. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just focus on one control at a time and one small chunk of the timeline at a time. Will you be live someday on YouTube channel? I did do it once. It is very difficult for me to find the time to do that, but I would like to eventually. What should animators expect to be different when transitioning from animating at school for yourself to animating at a workplace for someone else? Leave your ego at the door. Remember that you are not your work, and you're also not animating for yourself anymore. If somebody wants changes, you can't take it personally. You're just not doing exactly what it is they're looking for, and it's going to happen whether you're new or not. If somebody gives you a revision, it doesn't mean your work is bad, they just want something different. What are some tips on getting into the industry? Make a good demo reel, keep it short and sweet, only your top quality work should be on your reel and show a little bit of everything. Keep applying to jobs even if you don't think you're qualified for them, they're always over asking on those requirements lists. Keep applying, keep updating your reel when you have new work, reapplying, employers will notice. Can you show us your cat's toe beans? Toe beans. Good morning, Leia. We're here to look at your toe beans. Can you show us your toe beans? Thank you. What are your main motivations for doing YouTube? Frustration with my college. I learned so little there, and I was so lost when I left that it took me 3 years in order to land a job afterwards. Plus, when I got the job that I had, they had to teach me basically everything from the ground up. And it was really frustrating to me how much they taught me that was not common knowledge outside of the industry. So for anybody trying to break into the industry, it made me mad that you basically don't have a chance unless you already have this insider info. What got you interested in 3D animation? I wasn't actually interested until I became good at it. I know most people have these stories about how they knew from the time they were -2 that they wanted to be an animator when they grew up, but that's just not what my life was like. My biggest interests were gaming and cartoons, and I never once thought about the future of what I might want to do. So my journey's a little different than everybody else's, but that's okay. And that's it for the questions, so let's move over to future Skitty to see what she has to say about this animation challenge. Let's just pretend that I didn't wait a week to film this outro and that my hair is still long enough to fit into pigtails. If you take away anything from this video, let it be that 25 minutes is not long enough to animate anything. I don't know what I was thinking, don't do this. But since you've been waiting for it, let's take a look at the finished clip. It's kind of okay, right? I mean, it's not great, but for 25 minutes, I don't think I did all that bad. And I hope you all enjoyed taking this journey with me. Thank you guys so much for sticking on this journey to 5K with me. I quite literally wouldn't be here without you. But you know who also deserves to hit 5,000 subscribers? Our guest today, RobynO. Seriously, why are you guys not subscribed to her yet? I may be able to teach you the tools on how to use these programs, but if you're not subscribed to RobynO, then you're not going to know how to get into the industry. Thanks again, Robyn, for helping me with this milestone video. I hope that someday in the future, I can return the favor. At this point, I have run out of coffee, so water will have to do, but here's to the next 5K. Oh, and don't forget to use a reference.